I want to talk about something that is, you know how they say people's brains are warped? Okay, I believe that indoctrination basically does nothing but warp the brain through empowerment. Too much power and your brain will warp, flip inside out. But, this is what I want to talk about, is my theory around the warped brain. So when the brain is warped, it flips upside down. You know, it's concave or convex. You have those two things. You know, and one is bowed and one is warped. Um, in the sense that if you have a flat plane, then the warp is like, you know, bent, either down or up. So this is my theory on the warped brain. Is that once somebody's brain is warped, which is very common in the United States, very common in indoctrination, and what you get is a bunch of backward shit, where stupid people think they're smart and smart people think they're stupid. So when you're in these disorders, then everything's real backwards. So to get out of that, it seems like contrary to the human nature. Like, you know, some people think more is good, but actually less is more and more is less. That's kind of how the warped brain behaves. So to get back out of that seems really unnatural. Okay, that's why I don't really believe in natural and all that shit. Is because, well, you know, there's these theories of natural. We don't really know what natural is anyway. But the warped brain is like, people to get out of that, it's all fixable because it's all energy. The mind is all energy, so all this is repairable. Back to a previous state, which would be the unwarped state, which people were born with, let's say. And basically, for people to get out of that, they have to start, if they think they're smart, or really powerful, to get out of that, they have to go weak, and they have to go with what's stupid. Else they'll never get out of that. They'll keep feeding this complex that's warping their brain. Then it'll warp their brain until they're fucking brain damaged. And that's what I think indoctrination does. Just kind of gives people brain damage, false confidence, and you know, it's a bunch of stupid people running around thinking they're smart. They're really fucking, or that they're mature, but they're really immature. And especially when you offer them an idea then, that maturity is to work and pay bills, they'll almost never get out of that because they'll be hooked onto this fake idea. And while they're entertaining all these fake ideas, they're neglecting the real thing, the real stuff. Where they think, oh, I'm mature now. But really, that's it's not maturity at all. So, I'm going to get into talking like, what is maturity? But you can tell that being a slave is to just work and pay bills. We look out in society. We equate that with, you know, I see like memes out there, people equating that with being pimped, being whored. Which is like where the pimp keeps most of your money. You know, you go to work and the pimp keeps most of your money. That's kind of how this maturity thing works, which is really slavery. So once you distort a mind like that, you can start offering all this pseudo shit to the mind. The mind doesn't know. It doesn't have any discernment. Okay, this discernment's not there in the warped mind. It's pretty much the opposite. So if you're thinking of the warped mind, you have to think in the opposites. Whereas to get the mind out of being warped, then what you would do is like I was saying, you have to go backwards. You have to go against all this conditioning which seems natural, good, and all this other shit. So that's kind of my theory on the warped brain. It's not a whole big theory. Sometimes it's really just simple. I find a lot of things are simple. And And you might see this a lot in a lot of instances where people need to detach, but the more they try to detach, they're really attaching more, just because they're like switched, you know? Or if people, come on too strong, they might scare somebody away. The next time they might come on even stronger, because they feel like they have to compensate for the last time. They have to do better. But really what they have to do is like worse. They have to ease up on that better, good stuff. Because that's all, what is the word I'm looking for? That's all feeding the problem at the root, which is this warped mind that comes through like power disorders and a lot of other ways we handle energy. And I really believe that it's all energy. So the mind is all energy. And if there's not physical damage to the mind, and even if there is physical damage, I believe the energy of the mind can repair itself. It can fill in those blanks of the missing actual matter, because it's all energy, which is like, probably pretty difficult, but you can do. It's based on like a schematic, a memory. You would like put the memory, like say I was missing this part of my brain, then what you would do is lay like a schematics of energy over the brain to compensate for that missing, because the brain's not physical. Remember the brain, the consciousness, it's not that's all energy. So I think you can lay a schematic over the brain. You can actually repair the brain by laying like an energetic schematic over it. So that the missing part of the brain can be replaced. Now, not replaced by the physical matter, but the energy. And maybe you take that from another schematic of another brain, and you put that over top of, the missing part of my brain, if I'm missing part of my brain there. And that's one of the cool things about everything being energy. Whereas science thinks it's all matter. It's not. Doctors think everything's all matter, that everything's in your brain. They don't really know where a brain is or how it works. And, some of what I've been exploring over the years is things like this. And, I noticed coming out of my own, I guess you call it like enlightenment or rebirth or whatever. To me, it was just like repairing my mind, I found a way to, I had a lot of stuff collected in my mind. My mind was real closed. So it was like, after my mind couldn't take any more of that, my mind was just like, poof, just like died, bursted, dropped everything, dropped all the litter in itself, dropped all the attachments, and, let go on its own. It just couldn't take anymore, because I was unable to let go myself. I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't think that was natural. I felt like that was submissive for me to give up. I was yielding. And, I think that's one of the things that a warped mind struggles with is, it tries to get out of the state it's in, but only, I keep thinking this word propagate, but I don't think that's the right word, so don't quote me on that. But that's okay. And that things like that used to not be okay, used to have this fear where it wouldn't be okay. And I think fear holds us back on a lot of things, but that's a topic that we've discussed so many times. So that's my theory and take on like the warped mind. I have some other theories and stuff on the warped mind that's like on my Facebook and everything over the years, but I was just out in the kitchen eating a meatball sandwich. I thought of this, it just like started dawning on me. And I have random epiphanies like that all the time. Ever since like I think my mind opened up, expanded, instead of being cluttered and collapsed around all these conclusions and attachments. I think that once my mind opened up, it was allowed to accept these epiphanies from outside of somewhere else. That's not like the brain I got out of school, So it's a different kind of learning that You know, you think you have to go to the books and everything to learn everything, but I actually learn a lot of things in epiphanies. They're just random epiphanies, you know, like a spark. I can't snap my fingers yet, maybe one day. But they're just a spark that hits me at like random times. I try to jot that stuff down. Sometimes it comes and I forget it right away. I think maybe I have like an off day, but I don't know. That's